Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Mama podcast, where sexual taboos are broken. I'm Tilly Storm, holistic sex coach and jade egg and tantric sex teacher. I work with luxury lovers, teaching them the art of better sacred sex by helping them remove all their blocks to pleasure, turn on confidence and connection, so they can step into their fullest potential and power as humans and alchemists in the 3D. If you'd like to learn how to release shame and guilt destroying your sex life so you can feel fully sexually liberated and free, you can access my How to Release Shame and Guilt training at www.tillystorm.com/shame. This episode is brought to you by the Sensually Embodied Woman Collective. If you're ready to remove all your blocks to pleasure, turn on and feeling confident and sexy in your body through my paid programs and offerings, then head to www.tillystorm.com today. The porn and sex toy industries have hijacked your love life, my loves. And does anyone even really give a fuck anymore? These days, according to a number of recent scientific studies, fewer and fewer people are giving fucks. That is, people are having less and less sex than ever before, according to a 2017 study from a psychology professor at San Diego State University. The end result of all this is that it's changing everything from dating and mating to fertility and the way we think about sex, even how our brains process arousal and sexual stimuli. Factors such as high-stress lifestyles, our declining communication and connection skills, our lack of pleasure-based sexual education, hookup culture, and the ease of access and anonymity to porn and reliance to devices like sex toys and boner pills means that humans are not intimately connecting the way that they used to or with the frequency they once did. Can you believe women are getting married and having babies without even learning how to pleasure themselves, achieve orgasm, experience sexuality in a way that feels great, and integrate it as a healthy, fulfilling part of their lives? Men are learning about pleasure and sexuality from pornography and adopting totally unrealistic expectations of what women even want, while desensitizing themselves emotionally and physically. Both men and women experience shame and guilt regarding their body and sexuality foisted upon them by religion, culture, the media, tradition, and upbringing, and may also be transitioning through big life changes such as childbirth, divorce, or menopause. In fact, according to R.C. Rosen in a PubMed article titled Prevalence and Risk Factors of Sexual Dysfunction in Men and Women, 43% of women and 31% of men experience some sort of sexual dysfunction in their life, such as lack of sexual desire, pain during sex, erectile dysfunction, or premature ejaculation. While the Western medical system would simply tell you to pop a Viagra, shoot up your clit, take hormones, or even worse, like suggesting you remove your sex organs altogether, pharmaceuticals, surgeries, and other such extreme treatments are rarely the answer to cure these dysfunctions, as they only address the symptoms, but not the cause. And while surface-level sexual empowerment might say, try out this new vibrator, or there's no shame in wanting what you want, just keep it to yourself. These desensitizing sex toys and the over-reliance on pornography only add to the problem, leading to genital and emotional desensitization while causing even more shame and guilt. No wonder only 1/2 of people aged 18 through 39 report having satisfying sex lives. They've abdicated the responsibility of creating their desires and intimate experiences to the creators of pornography and desensitizing sex toys. They're using these poor stand-in devices just to get off, when it could be just as easy, not to mention more emotionally fulfilling, if they were physically and emotionally sensitized and had a better understanding of how their libido, desire, and arousal response worked. The statistics are clear. We have forgotten how to fuck in a way that feels really good and nourishing to our body and our soul. And it is my belief that mass adoption of sacred sexuality practices will be the demise of the sex toy and porn industries, giving rise to better options such as learning couples communication and connection tools necessary to spark libido, desire, and arousal, as well as the practices and the understanding to come and come together without the use of potentially desensitizing, often toxic, and otherwise harmful accoutrements. Hey there, lover. If you've never listened to this podcast before, I'm Tilly Storm. I'm a sacred sexuality and a divine union coach, and I am on a mission to make America fuck again. Not just to fuck, but to experience your fuck as sacred. Many of you know who've been listening for a while that when I was 27 years old, I realized how disconnected and desensitized I was from my body and sexuality. I could only orgasm in one way. And even then, the orgasm wasn't that great. I wondered how I could live decades if this was all there was to sex. After studying and learning sacred sexuality practices from the ancient Taoist and Tantric arts, I became multi-orgasmic and free from the sexual shame and guilt I'd grown up with from religion. Deep down, I knew the shame and guilt were why I was disconnected and desensitized from my body and orgasm. I've helped everyone from marriage and family therapists, religious practitioners, and high-level executives and entrepreneurs to strippers, single moms, and couples married for decades to finally own and embrace their sexuality, become multi-orgasmic, reignite passion and desire in long-term relationships, and even have their own spiritual awakening. It's my passion to assist people in healing their sexuality, to alchemize the collective sexual shadow and bring it into light, creating the bridge between the sacred and the sexy through sexual integration and embodiment practices. Sacred sexuality is the practice of using sex as a path to self-knowledge and ultimately as a way to know God. It's not about the latest tips, tricks, or techniques being shilled by Cosmo, but rather how you approach sex. While there's nothing inherently wrong with making use of some intimacy aids, like certain types of porn and sex toys, I even sell crystal sex toys on my website. What matters is the conversations we're not having about these things. Questions like, what type of porn is being consumed and how? What kind of sex toys are you using? And for what purposes? So many women that work with me report only being able to orgasm with the use of a vibrator or not at all, leaving them feeling like their body is broken, the damage is done, and they'll never have the experience of coming together with their partner or having an orgasm from penetration. They report not knowing what they want and like sexually because they've never explored their sexuality in a conscious way, desperately wanting to want sex with their partner, but feeling their libido or desire has evaded them, and a lack of emotional intimacy or foreplay, often leading to performance pressure. The men report difficulty getting and staying hard from frequent and hard masturbation habits that have desensitized them, shame around their sexual desires and fantasies, and not knowing what to do with their turn-on. When women and men sign up to work with me, they are encouraged to embrace the perfect storm, to throw all expectations and goals they put on their body and sexuality out the window and learn to approach them through the lens of the divine feminine. Regardless if you're a man or a woman, learning to approach your body and sexuality in a feminine way is the key to opening up multi-orgasmic potential. My clients are encouraged to take off all masks, keeping them from showing up authentically and vulnerably with their partner, and start talking about sex more frequently and deeply. They're encouraged to feel, to just be with their body, to allow their body time and space to process what they've unconsciously been shoving down for years or even decades, and give themselves time to resensitize and reintegrate. They're dropping unnecessary goals, expectations, and masks, and destroying all the limiting beliefs and unconscious programming not in alignment with the pleasure they say they want to experience. They learn to stop resisting the storm, to embrace their shadow, and allow it to bring to the surface all that needs to be healed and integrated. And with love and guidance and support from myself and the team, we help them navigate the choppy waters of sexual healing and integration so they can break through limiting sexual hangups and experience multi-orgasmic pleasure, turn-on, confidence, and connection. Since the sexual healing, integration, and transformational process can be a wild ride, it's true that most people would rather run the other way and not have to deal with it. But it is so worth it if you stick through the process, enjoy the adventure, and face your biggest fears head on. If you're dedicated to the work, you'll end up having the best orgasms of your life, the hottest and the wildest sex you've ever had, and a more solid relationship than you ever thought possible, like I have helped many of my clients experience. You might even end up manifesting new job or business opportunities and money falling out of the sky, like what happens to many of my clients who choose to go on the journey and do the work. If you're ready for the perfect storm, my love, if you're ready to be lovingly guided through a transformational process of sexual healing and integration to turn your sexual shadow to light, awaken your multi-orgasmic potential, and make your love life sacred as fuck, head to www.tillystorm.com and download any of my free resources. Thanks so much for listening, and talk to you next week.